Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United sale news and transfer news, and I focus on the word transfer news because Erik ten Hag has been forced into a new transfer plan because of David De Gea. This would be massive news if it wasn't for all the sale news, because David De Gea is... Look, we've got a few things that we're going to reveal. Exclusives in many ways around Manchester United that some people are just not acknowledging, and it is stone cold accurate. David De Gea, is he in talks with Saudi Arabia? Are Manchester United worried? If he goes, they've got to spend more on a goalkeeper and less on a striker. This is an interesting story full of fact, and it's something that bears very big weight on our summer transfer plans, which we would normally be knee deep in if it wasn't for the sale. So I want to talk about that because, you know, this, I feel with the sale, I know I did the video with Ben Jacobs earlier, which I really enjoyed because you get the balance side of things. And I've seen a lot of journalists coming out tonight, from Mike Keegan to Simon Stone, Ben Jacobs, loads of people coming out, and they're basically telling us that what we said on when the share price went up on, was it Monday or Tuesday night? The story out of Man United, the Rain Group, the 92 Foundation and Ineos is the same as it's been all week. Nothing's going to happen this week and everybody's being tight-lipped. And that's where we are with the sale. You know, nobody's putting anything new out there. You know, even tonight I've seen that a particular journalist has come out and said that the Glazers are moving to a point where they can move forward with either vote very, very quickly. Well, we've known about that for 2 or 3 weeks. So, look, we can dive into that, but my very simple assessment on the transfer, on the sale, before we talk about De Gea and Onana and Costa and Højlund and all that, which I want to talk about, my simple assessment on the sale of Manchester United is this. I think Qatar are going to win. I thought Qatar were going to win all week. I'm never going to sit here. Matthew, thank you very much for your super chat. I'm never going to sit here and guess because that's just guesswork. I'm not going to talk to you about sources because I haven't got a source that's telling me that Qatar are going to win or have won. But I think Qatar are going to win, and I'll tell you why I think they're going to win. That sale price has been up all week. All week it's been up. And I don't care what anybody says, when a sale price is up $5 on what it's been for a last month, people who deal in... I don't deal in shares. Do you deal in shares? The vast majority of people who deal in shares deal in shares. They ain't following Twitter, and they're not listening to some guy from bloody Cardiff who 6 months ago changed his profile and his language to Middle Eastern to make himself look like he's a journalist from there. They're following the rules. Reuters, who came out this afternoon and were basically pushing Qatar, and they're not pro Qatar, but basically saying that's going to happen. Reuters is a well-known news organisation that is very respected in the financial world. I think it's very, very obvious that Qatar are winning this race. I said the other day, Qatar are 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, and they've got the ball. Now, Faisal Islam, who's the BBC economics editor, has said that they're 3-2 up. And it's heading... Well, I don't think it's that close. I don't think it's 3-2 to Qatar. I think it's 2-0 to Qatar with 10 minutes to go. But, you know, it's always nice that somebody takes your analogy and changes it a little bit. But, really. But I think that they are winning. But what I also would say is, I thought that Sir Jim was winning for the last 3 weeks, up until a week ago. And it felt like Qatar were going... You know, it felt like the Glazers were like this. You know, when you're in a nightclub, many of you won't have done this, I have. You know, when you're in a nightclub and you've got a girl on your shoulder, but you quite like the look of another one. You don't know which one to choose, so you're like, you got this one, but you're sort of giving the other one the eye, going, you still got a chance. I think the Glazers did that with Sir Jim. Don't imagine the Glazers with an arm round Sir Jim and what they're doing on the dance floor. And they're looking at Alfani and they're going, you know, do you want to buy me a drink? And now he's bought them a drink and they're like this. So Jim, do you want to buy me a drink? You know, and I think that's where we're at. But I think the thing that goes in Qatar's favour is they've got the money to just do the deal. Whereas Sir Jim, it's so complex, it's going to take ages to try and do a new deal. So I think Qatar are going to win. But I completely understand why all the journalists, and I respect them all, are being very balanced and they won't commit because they've got to get it right. I don't think a deal's been done yet. I think Qatar are just winning the race. Mark, thoughts on the paperwork for Jim's company only being filed today? Some journalists were saying it was done months ago, but not so. I don't think it really matters, Jordan. I personally really don't think that really matters. We can get Osman if we get Qatar. It says Aya. Hi Mark, I think we're taking the piss with Al Thani, so PSG owner stepped up to remind them who they were messing with. Since then, Qatar's been favoured, says Rui. United have apparently planned to rent a conference room out near a London airport regarding news about takeover this week, says Sam. And might be an unpopular opinion, Mark, but should we get Højlund, switch Rashford to striker and going for Harry Kane in January? We could focus elsewhere, says Gavin. Well, look, I want to talk about this. This is really significant. You may have missed all of this in what's going on today, and I don't blame you. We have been linked by The Guardian and numerous other outlets with Onana and Costa. Onana of Inter and Costa of Porto. Why are Man United suddenly being linked with expensive goalkeepers? This was not part of the plan. Right, the reason this is happening is because David De Gea... This is probably the most accurate information you're going to get today. The reason Manchester United are worried, and Ten Hag is worried and having to change his plan, is because David De Gea was always seen as a nailed on. You think about all the crap De Gea gets, you think about all the press, they're constantly asking about De Gea. Man United wrongly assumed that it was their decision to make about De Gea. He was on 350 grand a week. We want to take you down to 250. And, we'll take our time even though your contract's up in the summer. So United have took their time on the De Gea deal because they just assumed that De Gea would sign whatever they wanted to sign. What's happening now is that Saudi Arabia are interested in David De Gea. And suddenly, David De Gea might not have to take a pay cut. In fact, he could take a pay increase. So United are suddenly going, oh, shit. Because, you know what? If David De Gea does go, we lose our number one goalkeeper. We don't get any money for him. And suddenly, we've got to find £50 million to replace him. So United have took their eye off the ball a little bit here. And this is what Saudi Arabia is doing to football. Saudi Arabia has took Benzema, Ronaldo, Kante. They're going to start taking players who aren't at the end of their career soon. And David De Gea could be an option. So Erik Ten Hag has basically been approached by the club and said, look, if De Gea goes, what do we do? You're not going to put the Anderlecht goalkeeper in goal, are you? So Ten Hag has said, well, no, I can't. If you're going to do that, you need to go and buy me a good goalkeeper. I mean, I want De Gea for the next year, and we'll look at the goalkeeper situation next summer. But I need a goalkeeper like we're Manchester United. So United are saying, well, there's not the money to get a good goalkeeper, a good striker, a good midfielder, or anything. So United are now looking at whether, instead of getting the Kanes or the Osmans, they go for a striker a little bit cheaper so they can spend more on a goalkeeper. And that's where they're at the moment. There is one thing worth bearing in mind. Remember with Rashford and Fred and Shaw, we can extend, there's another year. We can do that with De Gea, but I don't know whether there was a cut-off point with that. I don't know whether we're in that period of time now where we can't extend it. And he is out of contract in the summer, because there is a +1 with De Gea. But I've not really heard anything about that. So look, this could have a real impact. Now, the chat will be full of, let De Gea go, get Costa or Onana, and get Højlund as the cheaper striker. Well, Atalanta are now saying they want 70-80 million for for Højlund. So Højlund's suddenly not cheap. So who's the cheap striker we're going for? And I think this creates a balance, because when you think about it, people will say, well, let De Gea go. Let a goalkeeper walk out the club for nothing, and let's spend £50 million on a new one. But that £50 million has to come from somewhere. I'll just get a cheap striker. And then next season at Christmas, when we're not scoring goals again, I will remind you all, but you just wanted a cheap striker. Buy cheap, get cheap results. We need a goal scorer of the quality of Victor Osimhen or Harry Kane. That's non-negotiable. So if our plan is to go for a cheaper striker to get an expensive keeper, I don't like that. I'd rather we persuaded De Gea to stay a year, got an expensive goalkeeper, an expensive striker, and then went for that. But look, what's going to happen, I don't know. And it's actually a really big story. Ben says, I don't get the observation with Jacobs and Keegan. They act as if they'll be the first to know, but why would they know, says Ben. Ratcliffe might be able to buy the Glazers a drink, but Al Thani can buy them the whole bar, says Stephen. And if we get Al Thani, we get Osimhen. If we get B-Tech James May, we get Calvert-Lewin, says Aya. Welcome to the Members Club, K-Shack. And so look, I think that this is a really significant situation that some people are not really interested in or not really acknowledging, because what's going to happen with the sale, which we can talk about again a little bit later. But I do think that this is a really significant situation. David De Gea is definitely been spoken to by Saudi Arabia, because they're speaking to everybody. So that's not a lie. That has happened. United are definitely planning, if De Gea goes, to adjust their transfer window. The fan base, a certain element of the fan base, is getting excited about this because they think we're going to sign Costa, 2 midfielders, 2 strikers, and spend loads of money. We won't. We're not in a position to do that. At the moment, our transfer budget is around 150 million, and we've got to sell. So we don't have enough money to go and spend 50 million pounds on Onana or Costa, and 80 on a striker and 50 on Mount, and we don't have those funds, and Kim Min-jae for 40. So really, it's a bit of a headache for Erik ten Hag. Hi Mark, how are you? Thanks for all your hard work, says Ariel. Now this is where I'm going to give you another exclusive. Nobody's mentioned this at the moment, or I certainly haven't read it. How are you? Thanks for your hard work. Thank you, Ariel. Feeling Qatar at this point, I just feel tired, says Joshua. Well, this is really interesting, and it's true. You know how a lot of people are saying Erik ten Hag's going to have meetings this week with Harry Maguire, and David De Gea is going to make his decision this week about what he's going to do. People are it's a bit like the sale. People are miles off. Erik ten Hag is on holiday. He's not at Carrington. He's not in Manchester, unless he's gone on holiday to the Arndale or whatever you call the shopping centre there. He is on holiday. Harry Maguire is hanging around with Harry Kane on international duty, and David De Gea is on holiday. These conversations that are apparently happening are not happening. Erik ten Hag is on holiday. David De Gea is on holiday, and international players are on international duty. So these conversations that are apparently happening this week about Harry Maguire's future, they're not happening this week. And guess what? They're not happening next week either. And they're probably not happening the week after that. David De Gea might not make his decision until the end of the month. There is a hold-up. There is a hold-up. And it's a natural hold-up. And there is a bit of misreporting going on, because people aren't in Carrington discussing their futures. And it's worth bearing in mind. The only thing that's going on with United at the moment with any certainty is transfer talk, negotiations, because this is where Richard Arnold, John Murtagh, our negotiators aren't on holiday. They're meant to be doing their work. Mason Mount, Chelsea. Mason Mount could sign for Manchester United before the sale happens, by the way. At the moment, I wouldn't bet either way, but the Mason Mount deal, which is not close, could happen before the sale of Manchester United. On Mason Mount, that could happen on Saturday. That could happen on Sunday. The sale won't happen on Saturday or Sunday, but that won't happen until probably next Tuesday now, because apparently it's a bank holiday. Why are you having a bank holiday in America on the middle of June anyway? What's that all about? So, look, people want to get excited. This is normally the time, I always used to say to my staff, this is the time to go on holiday. First 2 weeks of June. Nothing ever happens in the first 2 weeks of June. Well, if we didn't have the sale, nothing has happened. In relation to transfers, it very, very rarely happens in the start of June. It's the sale talk. But it is really quiet at the moment. This is the time Erik ten Hag's on holiday. His staff is on holiday. The players are on holiday, or they're on international duty. None of these chats are going on. So if someone thinks, we're going to sell a player tomorrow, it's very unlikely. We could be looking at expensive goalkeepers because we're almost certain Qatar are coming in along with an increased transfer budget. Gethin, are you brand new? Just been born today. Congratulations to your mum and dad. What are you talking about? We're Manchester United. There has to be a certain level of intelligence to pick Manchester United as your club. What planet are you living on? What is this nonsense that Qatar buy the club tomorrow and we've got a budget of 500 million by Monday? Do people not listen? Even if the Glazers choose the Qatar, we've still got to go through the Premier League tests. They've still got to go through all the other tests. They might not get hold of the club until August. Oh, but they'll just send a cheque for $500 million. Oh yeah, I'd do that. If I was buying a house tomorrow, I'd give the owners of that house a couple of million just to start building stuff for me. There's no obligation that I might never get to see that money again. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't know why people think Qatar are going to get hold of the club and we're going to spend 500 million. We can't spend 500 million. And people will say, well, you're a hypocrite because you've said we'll spend more money with Qatar than we will with the Glazers. Well, we will. but we're not going to spend 300 or 400 million. That cannot happen. You know, as much as I don't believe in the rules and financial fair play, we won't spend 300 or 400 million this summer. We'll spend around 200 million. If the Glazers are in charge, we won't even spend that. But we won't just suddenly go Mbappe, Harry Kane, Costa, you know, all these players. That's not happening, and it's definitely not going to happen this summer. In fact, the way it's delaying at the moment, we could be in a situation where we don't even have our new owner in place before we play. Who we got first game of the season? Wolves. We might not. There's a good chance we might still be owned by the Glazers when we play Wolves, because even when they pick a winner, it could still take a bit of time. So, you know, you've got to have some level of realism around what a Qatari ownership looks like. It will be massively different over the first couple of years, but over the first couple of months, I don't envisage massive change, because they've got to come into the club, they've got to sack people, they've got to recruit people. They're probably just going to have to let this summer play out the way it's been planned out by Arnold and Ten Hag and Murta. Could we be looking at an expensive K? Thank you very much. Hi, Mark. Do you think Qatar or Sir Jim can get full power this summer transfer market? Says, I think they can. I do think they can. But I don't think it's going to happen like... You know, it's almost like... Look, even a transfer doesn't necessarily play for you straight away. And this is a sale of a football club. If we... Say Tuesday morning they say Qatar have won. You know, how does that massively change things? I don't think they'll officially. You know, it's not like the Glazers are moving out on Wednesday. I still think there'll be a process, and also there are some regulations and, you know, confirmations that need to come as well. Instead of paying 60 to 70 to Chelsea for Mount, Manu Kone or Viaga going for 40 million, says HK Music. Also, Mark, it's Juneteenth on Monday in States. It commemorates the day when the last enslaved people in the country were informed of their freedom, says James. You see, that's an education for me. That makes me look bad now. I knew it. I said this morning. There'll be a really good reason why they're off in America on Monday. And now I feel a prat. No, it's obviously brilliant. I know, I just wondered why you were off in the middle of June. Like, you know, we sometimes get a bank holiday because the King's being whatever he was. But hi, Mark. Monday's Juneteenth. The day signifies freedom for African Americans due to the legal abolition of slavery. Well, good. And don't anybody be moaning about there being a bank holiday in America on Monday. Now you know. Education on the United Stand. Hi, Mark. Could you see Qatar or Sir Jim gaining full? No, I've done that one from Sem as well. Construction has started on a new deal. Casido's joining Chelsea, says Football. I hope that's not true, but I suspect it probably is. Arsenal... Pletigol. Breaking. Casido has decided to join Chelsea. Time for final negotiations. That's coming in from Pletigol. You know, what I would say about that is that's the one that got away for me. Enzo Fernandez, I think that was another one. I mean, why are they going to Chelsea? Why are they going to Chelsea? They're not in Europe. The club's a bloody mess. If you could... I mean, you know, this is the problem with the sale of Man United. Can we not sign and extend Saudi to give us 50 million? I don't know who you're on about, SK. And chance we could get João Felix as Utrecht. Well, let me just talk about that for a minute. Man United are crying out for a midfielder that can do the job that Casido and Declan Rice can do. Walk and Wander, thank you very much for your super chat. We're crying out. We're crying out for Rice or Casido. It's exactly what we need. And one's going to Arsenal and one's going to Chelsea. And why? Because we've got no fucking money. But you know what? How have we got no money when Chelsea have spent over £500 million in 12 months? It's the same old problem. You cannot sit there with any conviction and confidence and optimism and say, it doesn't matter if Rice goes to Arsenal. It doesn't matter if Casido goes to Chelsea. When we need those types of players. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to sign Rabiot because he's fucking free. That's why, and we're going to give him stupid wages. He's got a terrible reputation. And you know what will probably happen? In a year or two, we'll all be going, why did we buy Rabiot? We knew he was a bad egg. We knew he was bad. Oh, well, because that's what this club does. That's what we do. We don't go and do the deals we need to do because we're not capable of doing them. And what were we talking about? Man City, the way they recruit the right type of player that wants to come to the club, that is a solid professional and is quality. Does Rabiot really want to come to Man United? Is he a solid professional? You know, you buy dodgy players, you end up with dodgy results. It does annoy me because Chelsea should not be getting Caicedo over Manchester United. Now, they are getting him because they bid for him, and we probably haven't. But he is exactly what Ten Hag would want. Declan Rice is exactly what Ten Hag would want. And he's going to have to go bargain basement again, isn't he? Mark, you answer Pratt for not knowing when Juneteenth is. You can't know everything. Secondly, during the pandemic, you helped me through depression, says William Turner. Thank you very much. And don't you dare say that, Mark. You literally endorsed Mason Mount signing. Eric Ten Hag is smoking that stuff. Sulo, what's Mason Mount got to do with the price of bread? We're not talking about Mason Mount. Mason Mount will not be our midfield signing to do the Casemiro job. It will be Rabiot because he's free. Put respect on Rabiot's name. Mate, look. This is our club. This is Manchester United. Why should I respect Rabiot? I've never respected him. I think he's a troublemaker. He's 28 years of age. He's going to be 29 next season. He's a good player, but he's trouble. And that's not my words. That's the words of Eamon Holmes. So, you know, I no, it's not really the words of Eamon Holmes. But look, don't come at me telling me Rabiot is as good a signing as a Caicedo or a Rice. You know, where's PSG got rid of him? Juventus aren't really bothered about losing him. I don't see Bayern Munich or Barcelona or Real Madrid or Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool or Chelsea queuing up to buy Rabiot. Same as Eriksen last year. Good player. Where was the queue? There was no queue. It was Brentford or us. Rabiot, where's the queue? It's just us. It concerns me because I've been saying this for a long time. Only my opinion. You can definitely have a different one. All opinions are welcome. But I've been saying this for a long time. Manchester United are not capable in the transfer market. And if we're going to buy players, they better be players that Man City want. Because if you want to close a gap, best player for France, definitely not. I surfer, quit football and take up another sport because you're just going to get bantered for the rest of your life. We are never going to catch up with Man City or Arsenal if they're buying better players than us in the summer. You can't close a gap by buying players they don't want. And that's it. Mic drop. You can't close a gap on better teams when they're buying better players than you. You just can't do it. So, look, I trust Ten Hag on Mason Mount. I actually quite like Mason Mount. On Rabiot, it might work for a bit. I guarantee you that's going to blow up in our face at some point. Because he's just that type of player. I hope Ten Hag can get the best out of him. Look, the only thing that can excite me now is if we go and get Gravenberch from Bayern Munich. I mean, if we went and got Gravenberch, I wouldn't be bothered about Caicedo or Rice because I think Ten Hag can get Gravenberch back to being the player that he was at Ajax. But Rabiot, he's 29 as well. He's going to be 29 next season. What's the future in that? You get 1 or 2 years out of him and you need to replace him again anyway. Do you actually think we'll see significant sales, says Henry T? Flip a coin, mate. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Normally I'd say no, but we have to sell. Could have had Caicedo years ago, but Glazer didn't want to spend 5 million, says Dazzo. Well, I'll jump in there. I don't care about that. Because if Caicedo had come to us from Ecuador for £5 million, we'd have ruined his career. You know, the development he's had at Brighton has made him the player he is today. We wouldn't have developed him. So I don't really have a massive problem with that. Michelle, welcome to the Members Club. And Mark, could we not sign Caicedo, Mount and Kim Min-jae and wait for Qatar to blow Kane out of the water from Spurs? Levy won't deny £130 million for Kane, says Nicholas. So Nicholas thinks we can buy Caicedo for 70, Mount for 50, that's 120. Then Kim Min-jae for 45, that's 165, and then Qatar takes over and we find another 130. Yeah, we're not spending 300 million pounds under Qatar. Like, I don't know. I really thought we were better than this. I really thought we had an intelligent community. Like, we've had 2 or 3 people tonight who think we're going to get bought by Qatar and just spend $500 million. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen in one summer. It's not. You can't just do that. We do have a massive problem with transfer fees owed and wages against revenue. Like, we have to do something about that. The most important thing about Qatar coming in is this: reducing the wage bill and getting rid of players. That will help us buy more players. But the thing I'm looking forward to the most is the clearance of the debt, so that we don't have to hold shit players as assets. Clearance of the debt means you don't have to worry about the banks saying you can't sell them for undervalue. Clearance of the debt, and then you can go to every player that you want to get rid of and say, just jog on, get out, I'll pay you off. And that's what I want to happen, and I think that can happen. I've already gave up hope on this summer. It's clear that the Glazers have ruined this window. So Stuart Walker, I can see you in August now. The Glazers have single-handedly ruined this window for us. It's a disgrace. So Stuart, well, I think it's good to have him as a bonus plus 4 players as Alexander. Shame about Casido and Rice, but Polina's still available. I think he would be a great backup and can't be too expensive, says FIFA Crazy. The fact is, this summer transfer window was one you don't want to mess up, and it's still one you don't want to mess up, because virtually every position has lots of options, whether it's goalkeeper, centre-back, centre defensive midfielder, holding midfielder, number 8, number 10, strikers, straight down the spine of your team. There's so many good options out there, but if you haven't got the money and you're not ready, you're going to miss out. I'd rather we were in a window where there wasn't much value there, because then at least if we mess the summer up, nobody else benefits. The problem at the moment is there's so many good options out there, but we're not in a position to get hold of them, and everyone else is doing it. So that's the thing that bothers me the most. As for whether the summer transfer window's been messed up, the honest answer is yes. We can only rescue it. And we can rescue it, but we have messed it up. You can't, and anybody will tell you this, in any business, whether you're selling a house or running in a business or running a football club, how can you, as Erik ten Hag, Richard Arnold, John Murtagh, how can you logically walk into a summer transfer window with the plans of spending £250 million on players, so 250 million? How can you logically walk into that with the backdrop of we are just about to be sold? It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I know for a fact that Manchester United's marketing and communications department is run off its feet because of sale talk. You know, they've only got so many people. They haven't got a sale talk team and a transfer talk team. They are absolutely run off their feet dealing with requests from the media about what's going on with the sale. Normally, they'd be run off their feet with what's going on with transfers. So if they're in that position, imagine what's going on with Richard Arnold, the CEO. Like, how focused can we be on transfers when everything is focused on the sale? You know, we've always been a football club that can't do 2 deals at the same time. It's very rare that we'll sell a player and buy a player at the same time. We normally go from one deal to another to another. And yet, we've got a massive summer transfer window, but most of the club's infrastructure is dealing with the sale. I mean, it's almost mission impossible that this summer transfer window wasn't going to be harmed. And also, the best time to sell a football club really is probably February, because it gives you a little bit of time for the new owners to come in, and then by April you can be ready for the summer transfer window. But we're selling the club, potentially selling the club, in the middle of a very important transfer window, because that's where we effectively are. It's the middle of June now. I know the transfer window's only just opened, but any idiot knows you're working on transfers from the start of April. You know, we're playing Wolves in just 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that. It's of course it's having an impact on the transfer window, but as Ben Jacobs said earlier, and as many of you would say now, why are they trying to sell, and why the delay, and why do they keep going back and forth between Sir Jim and Qatar? Because it's about money. It's just about the money. That's what they're doing it for. You know, don't worry, that's just my drawstring. Yeah, it's just the money. Why can't we look at Barella and Lema instead of Mount or Casido or even Nkunku, says Manoj. Oh, God. Oh, it's been a long day. It's been so long. Please help. Right, and Nkunku's already going to sign for Chelsea and Lema's gone to Bayern Munich. Alfred. I'm afraid, says Jacob Hawks, that Qatar will go for icing on the cake before they'll fill important roles. Get in, but be smart. United need help in the midfield and up front, says Jacob. We should have gone for Ruben Neves, as he could play both 6 and 8 to provide cover for 2 important positions. Looks like he's going to Barca anyway, says Ravi. Yeah, Ruben Neves has been going to Barcelona for about 5 years, hasn't he? I don't know that. Tommy says, Mount and Rabiot are not United quality. Until we sell to Qatar, our transfer period will be terrible. When we sell, the first priority is new director of football and Carrington and Old Trafford, says Tommy Dubs. I think that where we are at the moment is that there's just so much uncertainty around the club, isn't there? There's so much uncertainty about what's actually happening. Faisal Islam, here's a quote for you, just bringing it back to the sale. He said that the Qataris have said this is their last bid and it seems like the Glazers are taking it very seriously. The Glazers were serious about selling to them. They were just trying to squeeze the Qataris as much as possible. 2 more clubs are expected to bid for Declan Rice in the next 24 hours after an opening offer from Arsenal was rejected. And you know what? On that, just on Declan Rice, I'm not giving anybody false hope here. I'm not giving anybody false hope. This transfer window needs rescuing. It can be rescued, but it needs rescuing. It's not going to plan. Obviously, the sale is a big issue. But on Declan Rice, that's coming in from James Ducker in the Telegraph. On Declan Rice, right? Absolutely true. This is true. If anybody denies this, if Declan comes out and denies it, or his agent, or West Ham, or Man United, they're not telling the truth. They're not telling the complete truth either. Arsenal have bid for Declan Rice. They've been after him for a long time, and he's very impressed. Man City have always been monitoring Declan Rice, and they could well swoop in and get the deal done. Manchester United categorically 100% have held talks with Declan Rice in the last few weeks. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But it could be Chelsea and Man City. So there's 2 other clubs that are going to bid for Declan Rice that aren't Arsenal. Manchester United have always liked Declan Rice. Years ago we liked Declan Rice. And we have held talks with him. Do with that what you want. I'm not saying we're going to get Declan Rice. I think... where's that money going to come from? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Declan Rice will cost you close to £100 million. Mason Mount will cost you close to £60 million. That's 160 on 2 players. Still need a striker. Still need a centre-back. Where's all the money going to come from? But do I think Declan Rice had signed for Man United? Yeah, I do. I think if Mason Mount signs for Manchester United and Luke Shaw's a good mate of his, of course he will. And you know what? You'll get people saying, oh my God, Goldbridge thinks being mates with someone is a reason to sign for a football club. Hold on a minute. Of course it's a bloody reason to sign for a football club. If he's best mates with Mason Mount and Luke Shaw, of course he wants to come to... Of course Manchester United's more attractive than going to a club where he hasn't got mates. I mean, of course, the club has to be going places. I mean, Man United's a massive football club. It's Old Trafford. There's a lot to be attracted to. I'm not saying we're going to sign Declan Rice, by the way. I don't think Man United can... I'll say this quite simply now. I don't think Man United can bid that much. So that's one reason. And I don't think we can compete against Arsenal and Man City either. But a reason for, we have held talks with him. I think he'd like to come to Man United. I'm just saying it. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not, again, I'm not gonna start guessing and saying, yeah, we're gonna get Declan Rice. I know it's a done deal. I'm just saying we could be that club that's gonna get involved. But where we get the money from, I don't know. Don't the Glazers have to invest now in order to keep interesting buyers? None will want to buy from the Glazers if they don't invest now. Oh, they will, Tommy. They will. Tommy! They will, Tommy. They will. They will, Tommy. They definitely will. Tommy, they will. This rate, Ten Hag is going to be waiting years for a decent summer where all new signings join early, seeing as though next summer we have the Euros, says Glenny Boy. And we've got a legend in the chat, and his name is Mojo. He's just gifted 20 memberships. There we go. Would you like Declan Rice, Mark? Yeah. I'd like Declan Rice more than I'd like Rabiot. Yeah, I would like Declan Rice. I'd like Casido as well. What? There was a question earlier. What do you think if you were predicting Man United's summer transfer window now? Oh, we can all play that game. No idea. Absolutely no idea. I'd say Mount happens. I'd say Højlund happens because it's hotter than the sun, as I keep telling you. That's not to say that Mount falls apart and Højlund falls apart, but those two, I'd say. Kim Min-jae, I don't know now. I don't know. Have we ruined that one? I don't know. Rabiot looks like it's obvious. I don't know. I mean, in some ways it's exciting, but it's not. You know, we're not Chelsea. We're not Man City. You know, it'd be exciting if you trusted your club to do something good. But I don't know. Why is there no interest from Saudi clubs for Maguire? Could you push for it, please? Says Sanjay. Look, if David De Gea goes to the Saudi League, I'm supporting whoever he goes to. You know, sorry, Ronaldo. But I think Harry Maguire. You know what? All jokes apart, he'd be a good acquisition for the Saudi League because they're buying all these strikers. They're not really buying defenders. I mean, Harry Maguire would be like, you know, prime Sergio Ramos in that league. I mean, look. What I would say about the Saudi League is never say never. Like never say never. Like, you just don't know. You don't know. But, I mean, I don't think Harry Maguire's going to go there. They'd be interested. I'm telling you now. They'd be interested. My agent rang them up the other week and said, have you seen Goldbridge from the Sidemen charity game? He'd be interested in managing one of your teams. For a minute, they were interested. But no, on a serious note, I think that if Harry Maguire's agent got in contact with one of those clubs and said, look, he'd be interested, they'd make an offer. You know, Kante's on about £80 million a year. They might offer Harry Maguire £8 a week, but they'd be interested. No, they'd give him. I mean, what's he on? He's on £10 million a year at Man United. I bet they'd give him 20. Maybe more. They would be interested, but in fairness to Harry Maguire, why would you do it at this stage of your career? He's going to want to play for England in the Euros, isn't he? Oh, having said that, I personally, you know, somebody might say, well, if he goes and plays in the Saudi League, Gareth Southgate won't pick him. Ronaldo still plays for Portugal. He plays in the Saudi League. And let's be honest, with Gareth Southgate, if Calvin Phillips and Harry Maguire were playing Sunday morning football for the Dog and Duck, they'd still get called up for England, let's be honest. So, yeah, there's no problem with that. How much do you reckon we'll make from departures, says Aidan? Look, if we're being logical and we do our job, Henderson's got to be 20, 25. Brandon Williams has got to be 10. Ethan Laird's probably 10. Tellez and Bailly, probably 7.5 each. So you're up to about 50 there. You know, Fred, you can probably get 15 for, 65. Maguire, I think you can get 34, that's 95. McTominay, you can get 25 for, that's 120. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else as well. I think we can make 100 million in sales, but you've got to be good at what you're doing. There's about 7 or 8 deals to do there. That's a lot. Jonathan Miller, welcome to the Members Club. Hi, Mark. How are Atalanta now asking for double for Højlund? I thought they wanted 40 to 50, says Alice. Well, it's just paper talk at the end of the day. I think Rasmus Højlund will go for about 50 with add-ons. But I'm only quoting what was said in the papers. No, look, Atalanta cannot and will not ask for £80 million for a player in a breakout season. That's ridiculous. That's just... It's like Mount and Havertz. Chelsea want 70 million for them each. Yeah, they're not going to get that. So look, it's bargaining. You know, the buying club will go in cheap, and the selling club will go in high, and you'll meet somewhere in between. Saudi make Maguire memes too. Let's not insult Saudi defenders, says FaZe. We probably will end up with Jury and Timber as our centre-back option as Ten Hag loves the player, says Kerry. And I think a lot of people forget we're a laughing stock in the transfer market, and whoever becomes our new owners has a job on their hands to improve it, says Graham. And do you think we'll sell Sancho, says Louis? I don't, actually. I knew there was a player I was not thinking about. Look, at the end of the day, have faith in Ten Hag, says Paul Ward. I don't think Sancho will go. Donny could go as well, says Paris. Yeah, but look, the problem United have got is it'd be better if we had two £50 million players to sell. You get to 100 really quickly and you've only got to do 2 deals. There's probably 7 or 8 deals we've got to do to get over £100 million in sales. That takes time. That does take time. And United ain't very good with that. But there we go. I just want to say as well, it's been a really busy day today. We covered it on social media, and it's really important to say how sad it was to hear about the passing of former Manchester United player Gordon McQueen. I was too young to remember him playing or see him play, but Ricky sent me a message about it today, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it. And the future of Qatar or Sir Jim is yet to be written, but our past is what makes Manchester United what it is. And I know it's easy to get excited about Qatar and everything like that, but it's a myth at the moment. It's not real. What's real is what we are as a football club. And today we lost an ex-player who was held in high esteem by many generations of our football club. And we can't... Some people are worried about this if we get taken over by Qatar, that we're going to lose who we are. And I think some people today sort of played into the hands of those people because, Gordon McQueen's died and people are like, oh, I want to hear about Qatar. Well, that's that's feeding the argument that, we're selling our soul a bit. I don't think we are selling our soul. I think in the modern game, you need super wealth, you need a full sailing, you need the Glazers out. But let's not lose sight of what we are. Our past is what makes Manchester United. And you know what? We shouldn't lose sight of that. And it is sad news. So I just wanted to take a moment on that. Fabrizio's just tweeted about Kim Min-jae. I understand Bayern have presented their project to Kim Min-jae this week and the agreement on personal terms is now close. Kim tempted by Bayern as talks are now advancing fast. Man United remain interested, but it was never done. Release clause available in July. That's moving fast. There's a little lesson to be learnt there, isn't there, that we all know. This has happened to us a few times before. When you come across intelligent and efficient football clubs in the transfer window, Manchester United lose. I was worried about it. We did a video on it this morning, although it feels like last week. Bayern have gone in. Bayern haven't messed about. Man United, snooze you lose. It's just I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll get to a point where we deny we were ever in for Kim Min-jae, but we were in for Kim Min-jae. We were, and we've missed out again. It all seems quite chaotic with Manchester United at the moment, doesn't it? There is that French centre-back we can go for, the 25-year-old from Monaco. I'm not saying that Kim Min-jae is the best player in the world. That's ridiculous, but he's a really good player that we should have been buying, and it looks like we've missed out there. And you know what pisses me off more than anything? Over the years, Real Madrid do it, Bayern Munich do it, Juventus were doing it. Why is it these big clubs always do good deals? Like Bayern Munich got Lema for free, Kim Min-jae for 40 million. How we've got to stop doing this. It's the biggest message I would send to Qatar or Sir Jim if they get hold of the club. Don't employ fanboys or girls or mates or ex-players. Get the best. If the best director of football is at Brescia, go and get him. If the best CEO is at Villarreal, go and get him. If the best head of recruitment is at Sao Paulo, go and get him. That's what we need to do. Because time and time again, we miss out on these types of players to other clubs. And it's embarrassing. But more importantly, it holds us back. Your recruitment is obviously massively linked to your success. Would you sell Sancho for 50 million and invest in a goalkeeper like Costa or any other ball-playing world-class goalkeeper, says Sugush? Hypothetically, no. But I would sell Sancho for 50 million. Why didn't United learn their lesson with the whole Gakpo and Liverpool debacle, says Stephen? And the best decision I've made in a while was becoming a member a year ago. Thanks for the laughs, Mark, says Dylan. Thanks for the support, Dylan. Mark, can you dress in full Qatar dress with fake beard when Qatar take over, says Dave? Would that not be classed as racist? Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that. The Glazers have destroyed this club. They are heartless prats. Year after year, we keep messing up the transfer period. What a disgrace to us, says William Turner. And first ever super chat got misinterpreted and rinsed, says Gethin. Sorry, Gethin. Shout out my mate Horsley, who will hear that tomorrow in work and take the piss, says Gethin. Gethin, sorry. You know, sometimes people do get rinsed. It's that uncertainty of a United Stand show. You know, it wouldn't be United Stand if I didn't rinse somebody every now and again. But I get rinsed a lot. It's the way it is. But it goes back to what we're talking about the sale, really, doesn't it? If Kim Min-jae goes to Bayern, which it looks like it might happen, and Caicedo goes to Chelsea, which looks like it might happen, and Rice goes to Arsenal, you know, you can moan about it, but it can't be a surprise. This deal to sell United needed to happen in March. We're in the middle of June. It's not happened. It logically has to impact your summer transfer window. So when you're searching for a reason why we're missing out on these players, it has to be because of the sale. You know what? Sometimes you do get, well, a lot of the time we get differing opinions. But I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me or anybody else when they say, if we miss out on Kim Min-jae, it's because of this sale. If we miss out on Declan Rice, it's because of this sale. If we miss out on Caicedo, it's because of this sale. Because we're still owned by the Glazers and they are taking up everybody's time with this sale. When we should be focused on improving the squad after what was a fantastic first year by Erik ten Hag, where he took the worst ever Man United Premier League side and took it to third in the league and won a trophy. We should be building on that momentum. And actually, we're just, you know, kissing the arse of the Glazers so they can earn a little bit more. I mean, fundamentally, below all of this, remember, the delay in the sale of Manchester United, the unnecessary delay, the damaging delay, is because the Glazers want a little bit more money for themselves. I mean, when you cut through it, the delay is because the Glazers are trying to get a little bit more money. And I think we lose sight of that. Why have we not been sold in March? Because the Glazers are playing a game to get more money. So if this summer transfer window isn't going to plan, or it is being jeopardised, and therefore next season is being jeopardised, don't be a fool. Realise it's because the Glazers are trying to get a little bit more money. The same Glazers who are the children of the guy who bought this club, they've got, you know, they're basically inherited Man United anyway. Malcolm Glazer bought the club on debt. They've inherited it when he's died. So they've not spent anything. They've inherited Manchester United, which was bought on debt anyway. They've taken dividends out, and now they're going to sell something that they've never put any money into. They've only ever taken money out. They're going to sell something and probably pocket about £1 billion each. And they're also fucking us up because the summer transfer window is a mess. And it didn't need to be because they wanted, what, 50, 100 million pounds each more. I mean, what type of mindset is that? When you inherit something, you're bloody lucky to inherit it, and you're all looking to take £1 billion each, and you're just letting it stagnate whilst you try and get a little bit more money out. There's greed and there's the Glazers at the end of the day. Something we never discussed on United Stand. What is Darren Fletcher doing in our club? Says skydiving. Well, I don't think Darren Fletcher's doing a bad job at the moment. You know, I think there was an uncertainty around Darren Fletcher. But I don't think the feedback from Ten Hag this year has been bad, so I don't really have a problem with Fletcher. Mark, you make so much sense, but we're all watching players we want going to our rivals. So Rabiot on a free then. Qatar rescuers, please, says Roman. Mark, can United still do instalment deals for transfers with ownership in limbo, says skydiving? Well, yeah, of course they can. They definitely can do that. But the problem they'll have is that Arsenal might have the cash on the hip. Man City might have cash on the hip. So if you go to West Ham and say, we'll give you £100 million for Declan Rice, but we'll give you 20 million over 5 years, each year, Man City might go, we'll give you 99 million right now. Well, West Ham will take the money, won't they? So this is the problem. Instalments only work on players that there's not much of a competition for. There's competition for everybody at the moment. And that's the problem, isn't it? So, yeah, looks like Casido's going to Chelsea and Kim Min-jae's going to Bayern Munich. I wonder what striker Bayern Munich will go for, because they'll probably beat us to whatever striker we want as well. Interesting. Well, look, it's been a really interesting day. You can't deny the interesting part, but it's also been a very tiring one. I'm going to get in the shower and have a cold shower. It's been a very hot day as well. But thanks everyone for being with us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner. I don't know how many videos we've done today. Probably a record. I think we've done like 5, but it needed to happen. You know, it feels like last week that the fixtures came out. It was 9 o'clock this morning. Predictions for tomorrow. I don't think anything's happening tomorrow in relation to the sale. I'm sure there'll be more stories coming out. In relation to the share price, Market Watch, Man United are $24.80. It's sort of stable around $25 today, which is, you know. And on that share price, I just completely disagree with people who say the share price isn't important. I think the share price is very important. And I think the fact that it's staying up there shows that people are expecting Qatar to win. Rose said, and that's the headline really. Nobody's saying that it's deal done with Qatar, because it's not. And I think that's where I would just convey my opinion here. No, I'm not saying the deal has been done with Qatar. Some people are saying it because they want credibility. Nobody's saying that. Well, I'm not saying that the deal's done, and not a lot of people are, because it's not. What we're saying is that they're winning. Whether you want to call it 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, they're winning the race. And they probably will win the race. And they should win the race. But they haven't won it yet. And that's where we're at. And that's basically what's... Everybody's sort of jumping around that. You've got some people saying it's deal done when it's not. You've got some people saying, oh, it's still a 50-50 race, when I don't think it is. I think Qatar are winning this race and probably are going to win this race, but we're not there yet. We know Qatar can clear the loan debt with a cheque whenever they can. They do the same with the transfer debt, existing instalments, or is there a separate process for that, says Rose? You can't clear the transfer debt because it includes wages and spend. So you can't just clear, you can't make that disappear. That will always be there. But there are things you can do, definitely, like reducing the wage bill and clearing some of the players off with transfer fees that reduce the debt on transfers. The club's a joke, says Altau. And Stuart says, one thing I haven't heard mentioned much, if this Qatar deal becomes a calamity and falls through, we really are royally fucked for the next season or two, says Stuart. There's always an alternative, yes. Let's focus on the positive. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Get some rest. We're going to need it. It's going to be a busy summer, one way or another. You're fantastic. Thanks for watching all the content today. And please do subscribe if you haven't, bottom right-hand corner. There might be some content you want to catch up from the day. I can't even remember what we've done. I'll speak to you all later. Thanks for watching and take care.